All right, now I know some of you out there asking this question, what about that plumbing vent? Hey, it's Joel Walsman with Jefferson Electric. We're literally steps away from downtown Indianapolis, knocking out this residential retrofit solar array on an old home. Home's over 100 years old and it's gonna have brand new technology. We're hoping to wrap the carriage house today, the main house tomorrow. This is a 56 panel, $60,000 to $70,000 job, and it's hot out here, so I need to go wrap this up. All right, so right now we're doing prefab on the job site. We've done prefab in the shop, but it's hard to transport the rails. Things get mixed up, wires get snagged. So we do prefab on the ground. We've also done the system where we assemble all of this on the roof with gloved hands and small parts. No bueno, prefab on the ground. So here's the rail with the accessories. This is the Iron Ridge XR100. We've got optimizers periodically spaced at the width of the panel. So the width of the panel, these are going to be in portrait orientation, so these optimizers are exactly one panel apart, but the panels will sit like this. We've also got the Iron Ridge clips. These are UV stabilized, outdoor rated clips, real user friendly, large capacity. Haven't had any troubles with those, like them pretty well. And then we've got the stainless steel. All the hardware here is stainless steel. This is a Iron Ridge T-bolt. So it snaps into the top of the rail, about 1/8 of a turn, locks it into place. And then that star washer right there is actually super important, and this is slightly counterintuitive if you're used to hardware. Typically the star washer goes on the underside of the nut to lock it into place. However, this is a grooved nut with teeth, so it's biting into the optimizer, the stainless steel optimizer plate, and that star washer is intended to be between the optimizer and the rail, because it's going to bite into the stainless steel and it's going to bite through the anodization of the Iron Ridge rail, and it's going to create a UL listed grounding path, such that this metal component is now grounded to the rail, and the rail is an approved grounding path for the array. So we're not putting grounding wire between all of these components, it's grounded through the structure itself. So here we've got the naked rails. See, two rails go together to mount one row of solar panels, and so this is the splice kit naked rail. This is strictly for support of the solar module. This rail has all the brains, and these job site sawhorses, they're just perfect. The rails are super lightweight, so not a lot of strength needed, and then notch the top out of these things so that it holds the rail in place. Love it. When did they do this? I love that. Why didn't I do that? So what are you doing here, Bruce?
So I'm making the optimizer layout, so that way this will tell us if we have any problems with the specific panel. We know exactly where it's at when we come back and fix it.
All right, so you're ripping these little QR codes off the optimizers,
correct,
mapping them according to the layout, final layout of the array, and then that goes into the SolarEdge monitoring system so that we've got real-time reporting and data on every optimizer, every module.
Yeah, so then
Love it.
Anytime they have a problem with one optimizer, we know exactly where to come back and fix it too.
Sweet. So precise data on the whole array. So in the early days, before we were diligently mapping, recording, and uploading all the SolarEdge sites, we've had optimizers go bad and we're like, where's the information? Someone's like, I don't know. And so it's we've definitely lost important data in the past. So this is a really, we just dogged this process so hard because it is vital to operations and maintenance. Our tech will just bark if we mess up at this point. Instead of going to the exact module, pulling it up, testing the optimizer, one-for-one swap, module back down, done, home. Guys, there's a ton going on up here. There's no way we'll cover it all in one video, but let me tell you give you a brief overview of some of the details. We've used yellow crayon to do a perimeter layout of the array. We've got a double wall pipe, which was not detected in the aerial view of the roof. We knew there was a pipe there, but we didn't know we couldn't cut it. So we're gonna lose a module and relocate that. So we're designing on the fly right here with respect to relocating things. This house is located in the Indiana Historic Preservation Committee. And so layout is real important. We had to go through an approval before we got our electrical and structural permits. We had to get a utility interconnection approval of the location of all equipment, the types of equipment, and so relocations and designing on the fly could bear some consequences if we get that wrong. But the yellow crayon is marked out We've got Luke and Zach over here that are measuring off the roof, drilling the pilot holes into the framing. They're using a hammer for echolocation to identify the rafters, because we've got to be in the center third of the chord of the rafter. I am then coming through and popping up the shingle just above the hole. Thankfully, not all shingles are created equal, but these are coming up pretty smoothly, and that'll allow for the flashing to slide into place. So we'll be another 30 minutes on getting this laid out, drilled. We call these scraper bars. It's nothing special about them, it's just a pry bar. But after this setup is complete, we're gonna start installing the Iron Ridge flash feet. And the hardware's in the box. We've got it staged on the roof on that pitch hopper. That just slides right up in there, drive the lag, and now we have a properly flashed, fully secure start to our racking system. This caulk is awesome, Rain Buster. It's got a 100-year warranty. Crazy, the stuff is just good. It's easy to work with. It's kind of hard to express from the gun, but man, it's amazing. Man, okay, so I'm wearing regular boots, but these Coogies right here, they have a removable foam pad, so you can just keep replacing that layer. And these things are slick. The Pro version's $175. The Estimator version's a little bit more lightweight and comfortable and cheaper. So we've done that. But these things, I'm struggling to keep my footing. Luke can walk backwards up this pitch comfortably. There's no slide. It's beautiful. Your foot's up a little bit higher, and there's this spongy layer, so there can almost be a little bit of propensity to turn your ankle. That's the only thing, but man, they're gorgeous. They're fantastic. They don't really help much with metal. Like they're okay.
Actually, they do a little bit. I did find they do a little bit.
You could wear tennis shoes that are, you know, maybe comparable. Like a pair of sneakers, but those things, whew. So these things are beautiful. This is the Iron Ridge Flash Foot 2. This has come so far with fewer parts, faster installation, and better waterproofing. Let me tell you what's going on here. The Rain Buster is embedded into the underside of this flashing with a 100-year warranty. The washer is gasketed 1 inch above the roof deck, and then it's capped. So we've got what we call a triple water seal. Absolutely best in biz. Our first solar job, it literally took like 7 guys an entire day to do 12 modules. It was so slow. Today we're gonna do a job 5 times that big in much more difficult, complex circumstances with multiple inverters. It's not even, it's very disparate.
So what we've got going on here is our Soladeck is what we call it. It's essentially just a rooftop junction box. And I'll have one here in a minute, but it's got a junction box with flashing that comes out all around it. So I'm cutting out the shingles from where the junction box is going to be, and then I will slip the Soladeck into place. I'm going to be cutting a hole here for there we go, cutting a hole there for our MC wire to come up into the bottom of the Soladeck, and then we'll have a gland fitting on the bottom roof side, and that's where all of our PV wires will go in, and all will be terminated together. So just finishing up getting this cleaned up, popping all the nails, unnecessary nails out. We will be putting in screws. So this is our Soladeck.
Killing it, man.
We've got our flashing around the edges, and this is our main junction box. We prep these in our shop, so we've got our hold knocked out already for our 1/2-inch MC. And then set up. You want to check for nails on everything because your flashing is going to go up pretty high. Looks like we're going to run into one there, so I'll scrape that out of the way. Looks like another one there. Yeah, we're full of nails. Sometimes just pop them like that, which I think I'll be able to do for all of this, but I'll have to scrape everything here in order to get access to these nails. And of course, we'll be popping all of that. So at this point, we've got all of our nails out and popped through. So we'll just slide this up, making sure to stay above the nails. Sometimes it's not as easy as others. There we go. So that's in there, all nice and tight. And then we'll just screw it in. So let me grab my bit in here. So I've got my 1/4 inch bit hex head here, and I'm just gonna put in a couple screws on the inside in through to the decking. Just 4 should be enough. They have holes on the outside as well, but the more that we keep inside, the better. At this point, all that we have left to do to prep this box is a bead of caulk around the shingles, and then this box is ready for wire.
This is for the LB that's going to be coming out of the trailer panel that's feeding a sub panel in the garage. That sub panel is going to have some solar on it, and they're also going to put 2 EV chargers on it at one point.
Awesome.
All right, we are about to push the meter globe back in to this 2-gang meter base, and that's going to reconnect the utility power to the home here. And then that will also in turn turn our trailer panel on for the first time that we installed earlier today. So here we go.
Boom. That's it. Good work. Chris had a really phenomenal value-add design. We were going to be trenching up the whole backyard with this pond and nice paver walkway, but instead, this meter feeds the trailer panel, which did not used to be here. This is the value add right here. It used to be a continuous conduit, as you can see, right underground and coming up at the house. However, with the installation of this trailer panel, we now have a place to do a line side tap and connect a 100 amp sub panel to the garage. See, this is a carriage house, and so part of the garage is tenant occupied and part of the garage is homeowner occupied. And so we've got twofold, 2 metering purposes, 2 meters. This is an example of a standard utility meter in AES territory, formerly IPL, and this is a bidirectional meter. You can see it physically says bidirectional. Usually there's some kind of utility indication like that. And so we're connecting a 10 kilowatt system at the house in the main panel and feeding back to this trailer panel. There are a whole bunch of codes and rules. If you're not familiar with them, I'm about to lose you. But this is a 225 amp rated bus with a 200 amp breaker. That means, given the 120% rule, we've got 70 amps of headroom. We're connecting a 60 amp breaker in the house to feed back on these 3/0 copper conductors. You can see that there's gonna be squawks about the wire bending radius on that. Man, I would rather have the extra conductor in the box and have it be a little pinchy and tight. The inspectors don't tend to get crunchy about that. They will pull the panel cover off or have us do that, and they'll inspect grounding and ensure that that's intact in place. So I think their work's looking pretty good here. Pretty good. We'll have a total of 3 inverters on this site, a total of 56 mods, and this project that we'll execute start to finish today, possibly, it's not over till it's over, 60 to 70 grand one day, but it takes like an army to do it. So back to work. We struggled with this for a little bit. These are aluminum rails, and we thought we were burning through blades, and we're like, aluminum is such a soft metal. How are we burning through these expensive bandsaw blades that will cut steel pipe all day long? It makes no sense, and it didn't. It didn't make any sense for a while. We were throwing away good blades, and I'll tell you what, take a close look at this blade right here. It's got plenty of life in it. Watch this, we're about to cut without WD-40, without lubrication. Here you go, Emmanuel. You're the boss, you're the man. I'll hold it for you.
Okay.
All right, so let me show you. This is what you get. All these little chip pieces, right? I missed a whole bunch, but there's tons of them. Aluminum is so soft that these little pieces will actually weld themselves when that blade's getting hot, will weld themselves into the voids between the teeth on the blades. It's called chip edge welding. You're literally welding these pieces with a small amount of heat that's present to the blade, and that blade will fill up. And so all it takes is a couple squirts of WD-40. How does that blade look now, just after one cut?
Probably not as sharp, right? The teeth are probably wore down a little bit.
Okay, you can start to see a few places where that aluminum is filling up voids. But man, after you've cut 4, 5, 6 times,
Fills up.
it fills it all the way up. You got nothing left on this blade, and it looks like it's toast. All you have to do to revitalize the blade is either use WD-40 during the cut or cut some ferrous metal and it'll clean that blade right back out. It'll expunge the soft metal between the teeth. All right, here's a cut with the WD-40. Hit it, Manuel. Bam. Do it, bro. Just put it in the groove. Let it do its thing. Work into the cut. Doesn't take much.
Way faster.
Way faster.
Clean. I don't have that much shaves anymore.
Boom.
Yeah.
So this is overview of the project today. 56 high efficiency Panasonic solar modules, 370 watts apiece. We've got south facing on the roof. We've got east west facing on the carriage house. It is heating up here. We're gonna be in the high 80s and my butt is cooking on this shingle roof right now. It is hot. This is a residential solar array. So it's an IHPC district, Indiana Historic Preservation Committee, and we had to get approval before the permits could be released. And typically speaking, the general rule of thumb is the solar modules cannot be visible or easily visible from the street in order to preserve the historicity. So these modules will not be. You could stand in a couple spots and crane your neck and just barely see them, but generally speaking, pretty discreet installation from the street. This home and the carriage house is going to be pretty close to a net zero. There is not a ton of usable south-facing roof plane on the home that was not visible from the street. So half of the solar array at the carriage house is going to be fed into an inverter that's going to be tied into the meter that feeds the house. So pretty slick little installation here using Solar Edge technology, which has got like 50+% of the US residential market share. Best in class, really good stuff. Panasonic modules, I think we're #1 in the Midwest for Panasonic. And Iron Ridge racking. Iron Ridge is just the strongest, easiest, simplest. Their support, services, certifications, design, engineer stamps, design tool, all of it's just the best. We've got free Solar Edge, Iron Ridge University that works really nicely. A lot of our guys have obtained that certification. It's just slick. Slick. All right, it is cooking out here. It is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We showed up at 8:30. All the rails are set, squared, and leveled. The home runs are cut and made. We're about to take those to the roof surfaces and terminate into our Soladecks. Soladecks are set. That's the wiring penetration through the roof. Now, if you're a homeowner, a couple concerns come to mind. Should you be worried about guys traipsing all over your roof in hot weather like this? Answer is yes. Absolutely. If they're not wearing cougar paws, they're putting wear and tear on those shingles. Another concern is, what if I have to replace my roof? What do I do? Well, you've got a couple options. There's a product called Roof Max that will actually, it's a soybean-based bio product that you can rehydrate your shingles as long as they have at least 70%, I believe, of the original granules left. So you want to catch them before they're too aged. Roof Max can be sprayed around solar panels and you can rehydrate. Man, Will was working in the neighborhood, used to help us sling mods on the roof. This dude was totally dynamite and brought us high chews and lifesavers. They're almost gone. Appreciate it. Now he's executing Gemmel Works. If you need a handyman in Indianapolis, boom, right here. Gemmel Works.
And if I can't do it, Jefferson can.
All right, so since we last checked in, we've installed 2 solar disconnects. That's for turning off the 2 inverters that we've yet to install, and those will get tied into the home utility here. We're about halfway done. That conduit right there is going to feed into the 100 amp panel that feeds this carriage house apartment. So we'll tie into that, and that will allow the solar to backfeed the apartment and its meter.
We've got 3 cells above, 3 cells below. I like it pretty good.
3 cells what?
We got 3 cells above the rail, 3 cells below. It looks like we're pretty balanced. We're not going to be real tight at the top.
Okay.
I can hold it if you want to get it, or we can start fresh.
Set this one?
Yeah. So I've got the module. You can use 2 hands on that, no problem.
Sweet.
Yep. How far are we from the end?
From the edge of the modular, about 1.5 inches.
All right, let's go. Let's take it down to inch max.
About 1 inch there.
Okay.
So we've got all of our strings are coming back here to our junction box. I'm just feeding the home runs through the gland fitting. Sometimes it's a little hard to find our holes. And then we are landing landing the home runs on the DIN rail here. We don't have our MC home runs from the inverters just yet, but those are going to come in and we'll land on this side. But right now I'm getting the PV wire all in.
All right, now I know some of you out there asking this question, what about that plumbing vent? I cut it down with a bandsaw. That's absolutely right. There's a Carveout, I think it's the 2020 IRC, the beginning of the plumbing section. As long as that's still open to free air, there's a solar specific plumbing Carveout in the IRC to allow for cutting down plumbing stacks such that they don't have to extend 12 inches above the roof deck. Make sure inspectors know that.
Okay, so we have our AC disconnects, which are being fed off the panel inside there and this trailer panel, respectively. And we have to feed inverters off these disconnects, so we're going to run conduit to the inverters. And then we'll be running conduit up to the attic for the MC, to the modules. So these two will run all the modules on the carriage house roof. And all they do is convert the DC power, which is what solar panels produce, to AC power, which is what we use in houses.
All right, so what are you paying for when you buy a solar energy system? It's right here, baby. This is the brain box of the system. These are the inverters. Lockable throw disconnects as prescribed by the utility company. It's a retrofit system, so it's going on the outside of the house. This all has to be approved by the customer so they know what they're up against here. You could have major aesthetic concerns, right, if you weren't expecting this. So this is a pretty sharp looking conduit job. Man, if you're a builder, if you're remodeling a home and you want to plan ahead for this and put it all inside the walls, it's a beautiful time to tackle that. It's a phenomenal time. Actually, check the description. We can chat, video call, and we can lay this out for you. So you can put it all behind the walls. If you're in the middle of a remodel, middle of a new build, I'll talk to your electrician. Let's lock it down. Chris and Stefan right here, they're probably the two single most productive team members on this job site. Look, the man is filthy. Absolutely filthy. What's Sarah gonna say about you?
There's the shower.
There's the shower. Hey, it is totally a wrap here. We are done. We have commissioned the system. We're producing energy. We are liquidating the utility bill. Zero. You kind of feel like a hero after a big day like today. You know, you're just hot and sweaty. You put it on the line, laid it all out there. No injuries. That's always a win. Subscribe to Electric Pro Academy for real skills to make real money. And if you want to be part of our team, check the description. We're hiring.